Patrick, say hi. You okay?
Okay. Why don't we put this away?
Say hi, Patrick.
That's not ours, honey. We don't want to lose
Patrick, say hi. Or cry. Patrick, say hi. Say hi. Don't cry, baby. You know that. Hi, Oscar. Don't. Go on, Oscar. Oh, don't.
You're my Tracy, you're mine.